And so, yes, welcome everyone to Living Beyond Limits and our service in the park. I am Reverend Jennifer Spear, and we are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living. And if you're joining us online today, welcome to our service in the park. I'm so glad to see all of you and glad to get to spend my morning with you. And so I'm going to start our service actually by reading our mission statement. And so if you know it, I invite you to join me in saying it. And if you don't, I invite you just to take it in. It says, "We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world." And so that's what we're doing here at Living Beyond Limits, is we are giving ourselves the opportunity to touch that presence within us, to allow that presence to come forward and reveal itself to us, because we put ourselves in a listening mode. We put ourselves in a mode that is open-minded and open-hearted and open-spirited, so that we can actually discover and feel and experience our own spirit, which is none other than a personification of that infinite presence, that presence that is a presence of peace and love and wisdom and intelligence and wholeness and our own authentic power. Because what happens is, as we come to recognize that that presence always is within us, then we have access to all those qualities of spirit that are innate to our own beingness. So then when we're out in the world and we find ourselves in challenging situations, when life isn't reflecting back to us peace or love, we don't have to be reliant on the world to give us that. We can tap into that presence within us and bring peace to a conversation or bring love into a relationship. And as we do that, we transform those relationships. We transform those conversations. We transform our experience, and we become a beneficial presence in the world. And not only does what we do affect the particular people that we are in relationship with, but it actually affects the whole, because everything is connected to everything else, because we are all part of the one. So as we bring our spirit and as we bring that divine presence forward, it acts as a healing balm. And so I say thank you to every single one of you for heeding the call of your own soul to be walking this path, to be bringing that divine presence into this world in a way that is beneficial to all. And so on podium with me this morning is our practitioner, Barbara Conant. She's going to come up and lead us in an evocation as we begin to evoke an awareness of the presence of spirit and do a contemplative reading for us. And so what I invite you to do right now is to kind of settle into yourself. We're going to play the song "We Are" by Denise Rosier. You can sing that or just allow yourself to sink into that music and allow yourself just to slow down. And that will lead us into that evocation and contemplative reading.
As I turn my thoughts within, I recognize my inner presence and know that the gift of life is all around me. I realize God is always right where I am. I feel its presence moving through me as love, joy, and the good that I see. And as I stand in the holy space within. I see it reflected in the beauty of nature as we are surrounded by the trees and the green grass our feet rest upon. And I revel in this beauty of God's creation. God's presence is always enfolding me and all people, and gives away itself as we experience its goodness in our lives. Today we come together to celebrate Spirit as the light we see in each other. I bless this day and its events. I bless Reverend Jennifer and her talk. She speaks to our hearts, and we take her message with us to contemplate throughout the coming week. I bless everyone here and all people, and know the love of Spirit guides, directs, and inspires us to be a light in the world for good. And so it is. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm so happy to see you all here today. My reading today is from 365 Days of Richer Living by Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. It's from March 8th, I Speak the Truth of God. And it begins, we all wish to speak the truth, but we have to realize that every time we make a claim about ourselves that is different from the claim that we would make about God, we are falling into error of denying the divine presence in our experience. God is truth, and truth is God. We also are included in this divine perfect unity. Therefore, every claim we make about God, the living Spirit, should equally be made about ourselves, because we live and move and have our being in this infinite truth or presence. To say that we are poor or sick or weak or unhappy is to deny God. God is not poor. God is not sick. God is not weak, and God certainly is not unhappy. We must then make every endeavor in simplicity and in truth to identify our personal lives with that one life which forever proclaims, I am that I am, or I am that, and this and everything else I also am. There is nothing separate from this one I am. And so today I say to myself, I am one with the truth. I speak this truth and proclaim it to be the reality of my experience in what I call little and in what I call big. In the simplest and most complex things, I recognize the one truth, changeless, permanent, and eternally manifesting itself. Therefore, I know the truth of myself. I know the truth that everything I do. I know the truth about everyone I meet. I know the truth about every situation I find myself in. This truth is not only perfection, it is also power. It is not only presence, it is also action. Therefore, the truth and the power and the presence and the action of the living Spirit flow through everything I do, say, and think. I do know the truth, and the truth I know frees me and keeps me free. And so it is.
Thank you so much. So in Barbara's reading, one of the first things that she said was, have we realized every time we make a claim about ourselves that is different from the claim we would make about God, we are in error and denying the divine presence in our experience. She also said that there is nothing separate from the one I am presence. So that means that includes you and me. And yet, there are some times in my life when I forget that. And when I forget that, what happens then is whatever problems or challenges are happening in my life can seem overwhelming. They can seem like they are just too much for the human Jennifer to deal with. And so do you ever have that experience? The problems become overwhelming because you've forgotten that I am presence is innate to your own beingness. In fact, are you experiencing something right now that kind of feels challenging like that? And what happens when we're having a problem or a challenge in our life? What do? We complain about it, right?
Right.
Carolyn Reynolds, in her book Spiritual Fitness, says, whenever we insist on discussing an experience purely from a negative light, it only serves to compound our feelings of helplessness. We complain about it, and it just makes us feel that much more helpless and that much more deeply entrenched in whatever that problem is. When we feel overwhelmed by some challenge that's happening in our life, often what's happening is we're telling ourselves that we don't have what it takes to resolve this, to overcome it, to make it through it. And what happens most often when we're doing that is we're basing that thought on our past, by what we've done in the past, or what we've been able to do in the past, or what we've experienced in the past, as if that's who we are today. And so, are you the same? Do you have the same skills and the same abilities and the same knowledge and the same wisdom as you did when you were 5? Do you have the same knowledge and wisdom and skills as you were when you were 15? Or 30? Or 40? The nature of life is to unfold itself, and to unfold itself in ever greater ways, including in us and through us. The nature of life is to evolve and to expand. And because we are primarily spiritual beings, we have a need within us then to grow and to expand and to evolve. Just like a baby kangaroo that's in its mother's pouch has a need to actually leave that pouch. It's an innate need within it. It has a need to get out of that mother's pouch and explore the world and discover, even though it feels safe and warm and comfortable in that pouch. As long as it stays in that pouch, that kangaroo will never reach its potential. It will never meet its potential. And it's the same thing with us. As long as we stay in what feels comfortable and we don't stretch and grow, as long as we stay where it's safe in our unchanging life, we will never discover who we are or discover what we are. And so Carolyn Reynolds also says in that book, instead of referring to the, quote, problems and, quote, obstacles in your life, you can start to describe them as invitations. And so what if you did that? What if you started calling those challenges that show up in your life invitations? Because those problems, that's exactly what they are, is invitations. They're invitations for you to discover who you are, to unfold who you are. They are in your life so that you might discover your own innate potential. So you might discover your own wholeness and your own power and the peace that exists within you all the time, so that you can discover your own intelligence and ingenuity and creativity and the love that lives inside of you. And so I'd like to share a story with you that comes from The Art of Being by Dennis Merritt Jones. He says, "I'm blessed to live in an area where there is wildlife all around my home. Just across the street and at the edge of a meadow stands a towering eucalyptus tree, perhaps 150 feet high. For many months now, I've been watching 2 large red-tailed hawks build and attend to a nest at the very top of the tree. With the aid of my binoculars, I can see several little chicks in the nest, and daily I monitor their growth. It is said that when the chicks reach a certain size, their mom simply begins to line the nest with thorns and sharp sticks as a gentle way of encouraging the newborns to take to the sky on their own. The obvious message their mom is giving the little ones is, don't get too comfortable here. Beyond a certain point, there can be no more growth in the comfort of your nest. And if you want to be a hawk and soar with the wind, you have to take the risk, come to the edge, and push off. Because we tend to assign our human emotions to the animal kingdom, I have wondered what might be going on in the mother's head as she nudges her chicks to the edge of the nest for their first flight. Is she fearful or concerned for the chick's life? Of course not, because instinct drives her actions. Something within her knows that there is something within those babies that knows how to fly. She also knows that when they're ready, she also knows when they're ready to fly. She knows that her job isn't to teach them to fly, but simply to let them be what they are, birds. It's the something within the bird that knows how to be a bird that causes it to fly. Of course, that something is divine intelligence, working at the level of bird. The awareness for me is that the very same divine intelligence that knows how to make these baby chicks soar is working in and through and as you and me. It knows how to make us soar through life, excelling above and beyond where we are currently nesting so comfortably. The only difference between those baby chicks and ourselves is that we really resist coming to the edge of our comfort zone, don't we? The reality is that beyond a certain point, there can be no growth in the middle of the box we have created called our comfort zone. Perhaps this is the day for you to come to the edge. Do you believe that there is a divine intelligence within you that knows how to sustain you in your next step of growth, the evolution of your own being? If you do, it's time to come to the edge. We are actually supported by all of life to discover who we are, to discover our own greater yet to be, to discover what we are made of and what is inside of us. But sometimes our fear stops us. And the reason our fear stops us is because we forget that we are an outpouring of that divine presence. We forget that we are an outpicturing of that infinite one, that infinite potential. We forget that we are that presence in form. And like a ray of the sun emanating from the sun, we are emanating from that source, yet still always connected to that source and always being sourced by that infinite one. At all times, always connected, one and the same essence. And so as spiritual beings, we need then to grow and to evolve and to unfold our own greater yet to be. And we need to feel safe. And we need to know that we have whatever it takes to move through whatever that challenge or that invitation really is. Raymond Charles Barker said, "In you is the opposite of your problem, waiting for you to know it." Inside of you is the opposite of that problem, just waiting for you to know it, waiting for you to discover it, waiting for you to bring it forward. Within you is all the peace you need to move through that situation. Within you is all the creative intelligence. Within you is the strength and the courage and the power. Within you is the flexibility and the fluidity and the insightfulness. Within you is the love and the compassion and the generosity. Whatever it is that's being called forth, being called forward, being called to be made real is already within you. Carolyn Mace has a quote that I love. She says, "Hell is identification with the outer self. Hell is not a place we go when we're dead. Hell is not punishment handed out by something. It is rather choosing the wrong self to identify with. Hell is a horrendous case of mistaken identity." Don't you love that? Hell is choosing the wrong self to identify with. Isn't that what's happening when you feel overwhelmed with that problem? We're identifying with the wrong self. Hell is a horrendous case of mistaken identity. We create hell for ourselves when we are in those challenges because we have forgotten who and what we are, and because we're telling ourselves that we don't have what it takes to make it through that thing, to dissolve that thing, to resolve, to accomplish whatever it is. You know, there's a saying that says, God won't ever give us anything we can't handle. I hate that saying. And I don't even think it's true. I think God gives us what it takes to handle whatever it is that we have, because God has already given us what we need to handle whatever is in our life. It's already within us. It's already innate to our own spiritual beingness. It's a part of our nature, a part of our spiritual makeup, because you are each a microcosm of the macrocosm, a little godling. So the title of my talk today is, Who Are You? And I'm talking about how our self-perception and our perception of life is the thing that creates our experience, and it's the thing that motivates us or inspires us or moves us to do what we do and to not do what we don't do. Our self-perception informs what we do and how we do it, and it informs the course that our lives take. For example, if you see yourself as unworthy, the chances are very high that you are not going to ask for what you need. And if you see yourself as unworthy, the chances are very high that you will end up being in relationships with people who do not treat you very well. If you see yourself as incompetent, the chances are you will not push yourself to go back to school and get that degree, or to push yourself to learn a new skill, or to go after that job. If you see yourself as generous, the chances are you will do things like hold a door open for someone or help someone take their groceries to their car. And if you see yourself as intelligent, the chances are that you will share your opinion with others. And when you're working on a group project, you will share your insight or your intelligence, which will in turn move that project along better than if you hadn't given your 2 cents. And if you see yourself as a spiritual being, endowed with all the qualities of that boundless one, created out of intelligence, created out of creativity, created out of power. You will not let those challenges that show up in your life be stumbling blocks. You won't let them be stumbling blocks towards going after your dreams or pursuing your goals or working through that challenge or invitation. You won't let those stumbling blocks stop you. Instead, you will let them be stepping stones to your own greater yet to be. You know what a really amazing thing to me is? Not just do your beliefs create how you see yourself, but actually what you do also creates how you see yourself. So how you see yourself creates what you do, and what you do creates how you see yourself. I know that when I bought my house, I did not see myself as being very handy or mechanical or being good at doing handyman kind of jobs or things like that. But I had a girlfriend at the time who actually showed me how to install a deadbolt in my house. And then I did it myself. She showed me how to hang drywall, which I participated in doing. She showed me how to change the headlight in my car, which I then did. To change my windshield wipers, to use an electric drill. Being able to do those things for myself absolutely raised my level of self-esteem and changed how I saw myself and changed what I thought I was capable of doing. It changed my self-perception so that I saw myself as a more capable and more competent person. So what we do affects how we see ourselves, and how we see ourselves affects what it is that we do. We can start in either place. But going ahead and doing that thing that you don't think you can do yet, that's fake it till you make it. That's act as if. Because we act as if we already have what it takes. We discover that we did have what it takes. And that changes our self-perception so that it's actually solidified. It's not just an idea. It's solidified in us. Our own potential. Our own boundless potential. And so, think of a challenge that you're having in your life right now. So there's something that's challenging you. Close your eyes for a moment and just bring that thing that's challenging you to your mind. And then to ask the wisdom within you, the wisdom of your own soul, the wisdom of the cosmos that lives within you. What is the invitation that is held within this? What is this situation inviting me to do? What is this situation inviting me to know? What is this situation inviting me to be? And I invite you to go ahead and open your eyes. When we remember the words of Ernest Holmes, who said, "I am that which I am. I am the eternal presence of your own self." When we remember that, we move through life with greater assurance and with greater confidence. Because the truth is, who you are is spirit. Who you are is love and beauty and wholeness and power, creativity and strength. Know that and act as if that were the truth. And in turn, you will be experiencing that as the truth. And so my invitation to you is to practice meditation, to practice affirmative prayer, so that you will be able to take your mind and your attention off of that problem that you keep thinking about and ruminating about, so that you might take your focus and your attention off of the problem and rise above to where there is no problem, where you can just rest in the truth and rest in your own beingness. To rise above the problem in that space of meditation or in affirmative prayer, where there is really only the boundlessness of the divine and the boundlessness of your own beingness. And when life feels difficult, when you're experiencing some challenge in your life, to stop and ask yourself, that wisdom inside of you, what is the invitation that's being offered to me here? What is the invitation that's being asked? What is the invitation at the center of this thing? And embrace that. And as a result of that, you will be using the challenges of your life as invitations, and you will grow, and you will move past those things that feel challenging, and really to discover who you are, that you are the more. And so blessings to all of you on this path of self-discovery, this path of life, giving way to your own greater yet to be, and creating your most spectacular life. So blessings to all of you. And so I invite you to join me in an affirmative prayer. And so really what a blessing it is to be in a place of remembering, to be in a place of acknowledging that yes, indeed, that infinite one is right here. That infinite one that permeates and imbues and expresses itself in and through and around everything. That it is that presence that is expressing itself as my life. It is that presence that is expressing itself as your life. It is that presence that is expressing itself as each of our minds and our hearts and our own intuition, our own wisdom and guidance. And that it is that presence that is unfolding itself right now as the solution to any seeming challenge in our life, as the answer to any question that we have. That it is unfolding itself as the solution and the way and the resolution of whatever has seemed to keep us stuck, whatever we've been wrestling with. And so as of this moment, the wrestling ceases, and we simply step into the power and the creativity and the intelligence and wisdom of who and what we are. And so I know that right now Spirit is leading and guiding each and every single one of us on this path of unfolding, on this path of self-discovery, on this path of discovering that divine presence and grace right at the center of each of our lives. And so I also speak this word about every other person on this entire planet, that the presence of Spirit is right where they are also, revealing to each and every single one of us the exact thing that we need in the moment that we need it. That Spirit is unfolding itself as abundance and as good, unfolding itself as unity and oneness, expressing itself as perfect decisions, perfect guidance, and the answer to every question. For we are indeed standing in the kingdom of God right here and right now. And in our recognition of that, we bring it forward to a greater degree. And so today we look to the divine. We look to the divine outside of ourselves and the divine presence within ourselves, for they are truly one and the same. And our lives are blessed. And so I release this prayer into the creative law of the universe, knowing that it is unfolding itself right now. And so we lean into that in full acceptance and open-heartedness and in gratitude. And so I invite you to say with me, and so it is. And so Barbara's going to come forward now and lead you in reading your affirmation that is also on that handout.
And so if you'll join me, today I remember that, like a ray of sun, I am held offering of the divine. I look for the invitation held within every seeming challenge in my life. For everything supports me in discovering who I am and in unfolding my own greater yet to be. And so it is.
And so it is now time for our offering. So if you brought an offering with you today, I invite you to bring that up. And if you are continuing to support us online through the many ways that we do that, I thank you for your continued support of Living Beyond Limits. And so I invite you to join me in a blessing of this offering. And so it is with absolute gratitude, a grateful and full heart, full from being in this community and being together, full from being in this presence of spirit, full from being in this place of remembering. It is from this place of fullness of spirit that I bless this offering, recognizing that it is transformed into ministry so that we can be this place of light and love and reminders, this place where we come home to ourselves, come home to the presence of the divine. And so I bless this offering, I bless this community, I bless Living Beyond Limits, and I invite you to join me in sending a blessing out to this entire world, to every home, to every heart, to every person, to every place of business. And I say, thank you, God, and so it is. And so I have a couple of invitations for you. One is, next week, we are going to do a questions and answers in the science of mind. So what that means is you need to send me some questions. So email me or text me some questions this week, and that's what we'll talk about next week. Questions and answers in the science of mind, and what it has to say about whatever, things that are going on in your own life or particular aspects of what we teach or whatever it is. Send me some questions. Also, we are going to go on hiatus with Connection Spiritual Practice, at least for the next month, and do some other things instead. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm looking at a book study right now, and I'm looking at a class. So keep your eyes peeled for what's coming up next that we will do. Also, want to know if any of you would like to join together and go to a concert in the park on Thursday, August 5th. At Del Val Park. That week is going to be 60s and 70s music, which I thought might be right up your alley. If you are interested in going, will you please talk to Joy Janes today? Because what's happening is people are going like at noon and setting up their chairs. And I'm thinking we might have some people set our stuffs up and then maybe carpool over when it's time for the concert. So talk to Joy if you're interested in going. It should be fun. And just again, you know that we are looking for a new home. in the Lakewood, Long Beach, this area of Long Beach, Los Alamitos. So if you see something or hear of something, let me know. Let Chris Braunschweiger know. She's kind of in charge of that. And I don't think I have any other invitations. I think that's it. I'm so thrilled to be with you today. It feels so good to be here together. And so during the week, this week, know that you are loved and that you are part of this family and that you are valued and appreciated. Blessings.